Welcome back, everyone, to Profluence Sports. We got another great one today on the sports league front. We've been hammering those home. It's so cool now to see all the new emerging ones take place. So we got Paul with us today from Døds Diving League. So Paul, great to have you here and excited for this combo. Thanks for popping in. How you doing today?
Yeah, great. So happy to be here, Andrew. This is a big one for us, a big year in the US.
Let's go. Well, give us the quick overview. What is the league? Explain it, as high level as possible. We can dig deeper into certain areas. But I feel like a lot of people in the US, they're not familiar yet. Hopefully they will be soon. And so give us that overview.
Yeah, so it's a Norwegian sport born in the 70s, also known as Viking diving. So it was something we did to kind of pick up girls at the local community pool. So a hard slam, that was always a good thing to do. And in 2008, the sport kind of died out with us. It was a kind of a regional thing in the south of Norway. So we decided to organize the first unofficial world championship because one of the guys was adopted from Guatemala. So we thought it was a proper world championship already, going from definitely a group of friends organizing this for fun to suddenly 2-3 years later, 3,000 people at the stadium. It started to become a social media thing. And then with a new generation of divers, it quickly became diving too. All the other sports had this kind of entertainment aspect, this evolution of the sport with more entertaining film clips, more interesting people, more noise. And we kind of became kind of the freestyle movement of diving. So what you see today is one of the fastest growing sports in the world right now.
Super cool. And it seems like a ton of energy. Like, it's got this Red Bull and I don't know, some other like Red Bull mixed with swimming or diving or something like that. Like, how are you guys typically explaining it to sponsors or partners or whatever? How are you running through that?
Yeah, so you're totally right. It's kind of, if you see Olympic diving on one side of the spectrum where you have minimum splash, no noise, everything is very acrobatic, it's very kind of proper. We are the exact opposite. We're the X Games of diving. So we're all about entertainment. It's all about gladiatorship. So when you stand on the top of the podium, you have to kind of engage the spectators. And then in the air, it's all about maximizing it. So hard landing, cool tricks in the air, and a lot of stees.
Yeah, I love that. I wanna try. Let's see. I've never done this before, but I've always wanted to do this. Let's pull this bad boy up. While you're talking here. So maybe, can you see this?
Yeah.
We'll mute this. Maybe like walk us through or give us a quick rundown of, or here's probably like a good jump. So there's a crowd.
Yeah. So that's from the World Championship last year. We were 10 nations battling it out for the main title. And our event they're very similar to PBR, the bull riding league that you have in the US. So it's a 2-hour format. It's high adrenaline. It's pyro flames, cool music. It's super vibey. The athletes are part of the spectators. So you have this kind of boiler room atmosphere. Everybody's cheering for everybody, but it is about winning the whole competition. So I would say it's kind of a modern gladiator sport.
Yeah.
Kind of taking over water action sports. So
that's awesome.
I think one of the coolest thing about our sport is that you do actually the same tricks as you do in trampoline, parkour, snowboarding, freestyle skiing, and all that. But you have to land in a dots. And that's the kind of unique landing where you open up on the water and you maximize the splash. So
nice. So give us the rundown here. Like, here's the athlete. How do you select them to begin? Are there like trials, or there regionals, or how do you get to the championships?
Yeah. So you have the DDL World Tour consisting of 5 events, growing up to 10 events by 2027. So that's the qualifying rounds up to the World Championship, and then the last event of the season is the World Championship.
Got it. Super cool. So here is dots. Now, what's the goal? Like, are there judges, I'm assuming?
So you have 3 main criteria. It's very similar to big air in snowboarding. So it's speed out of the tower, the actual pop, and then it's the complexity in the air, and then it's the landing. So that's the main criteria.
How many people you got here? I mean, it looks packed. If you read the comments, are pretty cool. A bunch of 20-30-year-olds just enjoying life to the fullest. Like, what's sort of the crowd demographics, size of it? What did that look like last year?
Yeah, so a typical event is between 5,000 to 10,000 people. So in the season opening last year, we had 15,000 people in the south of Norway. It's a very kind of music festival meets sports festival, entertainment assets. And this guy that you see jumping here he's the best Swiss diver. So it started, even if it started as a Scandinavian thing, it kind of quickly took off on social media and became pretty quickly a global sport. And now with the US on top of it. So what you
Nice.
see there, that's a freestyle dots. So there you're allowed to put in flips. So you have two types of dots. You have the classic dots, so that's without the flips, and this is the freestyle. So during the World Championship, you have 2 rounds, and then you have the best jump that counts, and then you're going into to the finals.
Nice. Super cool. Yeah, I just wanted to pull that up. I think it give people a good visual alongside here. From a league standpoint now, like what's the plan to go into the US? Obviously win your region, like any sport, right? Even MLB, NBA, NFL started just in small pockets across the US, spread, and now going more international. How do you guys view this? And then we'll get a little bit more to the business model side of it and how you think about that.
Yeah, so we pretty quickly planned a US playbook on this. So we're doing on our executive board, we have Andy Edwards, which was the former CEO of Nitro Circus. We have Steve Roger, which is the chief operating at the World Supercross. So we're kind of borrowing a lot of the elements from those kind of sports, building it as host city kind of calendar. So we do a multi-year deal with a host city, and then we come into the city break even, and then we add the media production, and then you mirror those multi-year deals with the broadcasters and with the commercial teams, and then with sponsors. So that's the way we're kind of building it now. So this year we had 5 stops on the tour, and our plan is to close the calendar for 2026 and the next 3 years within November this year.
Nice.
And then we kind of build it brick by bricks. We started with kind of 2 broadcasters 2 years ago. Now we're in 60 countries. We are in dialogue with all the major sports channels, so it is definitely getting traction because our demographic is young. It's 17 to 34-year-old. So it's a very kind of interesting group. It's Gen Z friendly, very millennial vibey. And the format in itself is so immediate. It's so entertaining. You don't need to be an expert to become a fan. And then the transition this year going into teams really kind of took off. So this year we launched 8 commercial teams, and we're just seeing the start of it. So
Nice.
exciting journey.
That's awesome. And from a build standpoint, you said the sport had been around, and then you guys sort of, hey, let's formalize it a little bit. Did you guys bootstrap this? Did you raise capital? How did you get this thing off the ground? Where are you at now? We see a lot of these, just, some recent ones we've had on, like Major League Cricket, there are billions of dollars flowed to start that thing, Unrivaled, the 3-on-3 women's basketball. We had Alex on, the president, they raised 35 million or something like that. So how have you guys got this thing rolling? I guess is a good place.
That's a great question. And I think it's actually a strategic question as well, because we did bootstrap it until now. We raised some money, but we've been very careful about kind of building it brick by brick, because even if we do average 30 million views per event, how do you monetize that? So you have to have a full ecosystem working to be able to build it as a proper business model. This year, we're actually fundraising right now, and the whole goal here is to build it as a proper media product. So we're converting from becoming kind of a very event-centric business model over to becoming a media IP model.
Yeah, and I love that. I mean, I think it's one of the best ways to build a lot of businesses is like, it's not always possible for everyone. I do understand that. I think it is. Like, I think anything's possible if you really, put your mind to it. But, to go test things from a bootstrap lens, very similar that I've seen a lot of, successful companies of like, hey, you take it on your chin till you figure it out. And then once you're really ready to go, now bring in the partners, now bring in the growth capital and run, because you know what you need to do. And you've already built enough of a barrier, instead of, you see a lot of people raise money, but they don't really know what they're doing. And then when they actually want to go scale, it's sort of like, oh, shoot. So, and you got to be scrappy. And so anyway, all the things you guys have done. Now, when you look at the US, like, obviously behemoth in itself, the holy grail of sports, and especially media rights, how do you put together that plan? How do you start to filter out demographics or cities? How do you, what goes into that thinking of, okay, yeah, US, but it sounds great. And then the execution is obviously much harder and a lot more moving pieces. how are you guys going about that process?
Yeah, and you're totally right. So we started going to host city conferences because we learned pretty quickly that it starts and stops with the calendar. Because if you base a multi-year calendar, then you have something to build on, but you have to
Right.
land that calendar. And if that calendar isn't sustainable, then you don't have a business model. So
Right.
we
Right.
did kind of invest 2 years in going to all the big host city conferences. We were kind of the crazy people in town, just like, what is this stuff? And we had, I think the first year we had 127 meetings in 3 days, and you had like 7 minutes hard pitch. The buzzer went off onto the next one, but it actually paid off. We learned so much the first year. We probably did everything wrong,
Hmm.
but little by little, we started to learn that we need to do business with people who wants the product, because if
Hmm.
we wanted it, it didn't work. We had to work way too hard to kind of make it a business. But if people wanted to have the event, they kind of supported it in a
Hmm.
whole different way. And we found that actually kind of smaller towns, cities,
Hmm.
mid-size, they had a much more buzzing college scene. They were into the action sport. They bought the whole kind of 30 million view reach a thing. They could kind of brand their host city in the actual broadcast. They kind of bought the product. So we're typically in dialogue with Duluth in Minnesota, or Tallahassee
Hmm.
in Florida, or Knoxville, because those city wants this oomph. They want
Yeah.
that energy. They want the young energy. They want to be a cool city. They want to recruit new people to their colleges. So I'm not saying no to Boston. So we're even in dialogue with them, but there's something about being big in a small place.
Yes. Yeah, big fish in a little pond. That's a
Exactly.
large reason why I moved to St. Pete, Tampa. Of like, you can get to the center of it pretty quick. So yeah, that's super interesting. I think a smart strategy. And obviously, we put up the video. Do you do anything else around it? Like, obviously, you have the event and the actual, diving competition, but you have all these young people. Like, you got all this energy. I think you sort of mentioned, like, do you put on a little festival? Do you bring in a musician? Like, do you sort of mix like the sports, entertainment, media
Yeah, yeah.
all in one, or how are you viewing that? Or are you planning on doing that? It seems like an interesting opportunity if you can put 10,000 people together, get them around the swimming, and I'm saying swimming, but get them around the pool, get them around the diving, and then, entertain them further, open up the beverage line, and,
No, exactly, and you're spot on. So, what we typically do when we come to a city, on the Thursday we do a press event, usually with an insane stunt. So last time
mm,
we did that in Utah, we had like 27 divers flying out of a 27-meter tower at the same time. It just never stopped. But
yeah,
that clip alone hit kind of, I think it was 84 million views, just that clip alone. And then on the Friday we do the Døds Diving Academy. So we bring kind of local kids, especially from
yeah,
cool parts of the city. We bring on the college scene, kind of build the momentum for the Saturday. And Saturday, circus is in town. Then it's full competition day, pyro. It's cool music getting played from insane DJs and everything. And then that's a kind of a 2 hour show. And it's very similar to how PBR are doing their stuff. So the
yeah.
event side and the competition side, that's the kind of the boiler room atmosphere and everything. And then on the other side, you have everything that's media production. And then during the evening, we have something we call the after Døds, which is like the classic prize money ceremony, total
Mm.
dance off, new DJs and everything. And then Sunday, it's sayonara.
Yeah. Do you sell tickets, or like what's that look like from admission? Because I don't know, watching the one clip, and again, that's all I've sort of been exposed to. And when you get to the US, I'm excited. Definitely got to get out to one. But it looked like some people are just sort of watching. Like, is it tickets? You get the full weekend, or how do you go about that process? Because it's not like there's a traditional stadium and you got to walk in it to even see it. It's a little bit, at least it seems, from the one event.
Yeah, so historically, we just sold tickets to the World Championship, so that has always sold out. But since we're building the sport, it's much more important for us that kind of people get to know what is this all about, that they get to kind of know the divers. They maybe see the show on the Zone or on Fox Sport later, and then they start kind of the fandom journey of recruiting new fans to the sport. So we always said that the first year it should be for free. The second year
Mm,
you introduce kind of VIP seating. So we tried this in Florida when we had the U.S. Nationals in Fort Lauderdale. We had
mm,
kind of You buy one ticket, drink everything you want for 2 hours, and those
Mm.
tickets sold out. So you start introducing that on year 2, and in year 3 you can start having like proper seatings and VIPs and everything. But we are actually working on a model with a portable pool, the biggest
Mm.
portable pool in the world, a 22-meter high tower. That's 36 feet high tower. That we're going to have pyrotechnicians out of, a DJ in the middle of the tower and everything, and we're going to move that into stadiums.
Yeah, super cool. Yeah, I'm sure there's a whole tech component as well to this. How do you think about that side of the fence? Because
Yes,
you
I
have the
think
media.
yeah, so you're definitely right, and I think you can't be an IP today without thinking about that you're some kind of a tech company also, because you're in the intersection of social media, media production, judging, travel planning. There's so much that includes technology in everything that we do. We haven't quite figured out yet where it's logic for us to kind of go in, but we're very open to new technology. And I saw that the CEO of X Games just launched Owl, which is the first AI judge. And
Mm.
if there's something that's always a problem, it's the judging. So
Yeah.
I think that's a thing we are talking about, maybe just testing already next year to see how that
Mm.
works. And also on the media production side, we have a super lean production team with automated cameras, drone flyings, everything goes live and then it goes highly edited in a quick fix. It's a very kind of lean structure to everything we do, and we're very tech friendly in everything that we do.
Nice. Yeah, and you mentioned you watch PBR, you keep an eye on the X Games, obviously, what some of these other ones are doing. What's interesting to you, or what are you paying attention to just overall in sports to make sure that you're ahead of the trend, which I'd say like, you're leaning on a lot of them, right? Social first, digital first, young, mixing sports and entertainment, mixing a lot of these things. What else are you paying attention to trend wise that you think is important?
Yes, I think it took me a while to understand what our product was all about, and it's the community. And you will sense it if you come to Tobago for the World Championship on August 9th. It's magic. You get to know all these people. The characters are insane. So people just like keep on traveling with each other. So it's a thing you want to be a part of. So I think that's the most important thing. So you have to be true to the community when you build this. If you become too commercial, if you become too big, too federation-ish, all those kind of things, you lose it, because then you lose your core audience, which are your athletes. So I think that's probably the most important thing to lean on, is build it with the sense of putting the athletes first. I think that's
Mm.
kind of crucial. Secondly, be pragmatic. We're like totally open that we want to be filthy rich building this. So we want the
Mhm.
athletes to earn a lot of money. We want to earn a lot of money. Let's do it. And it's so much
Mm.
easier to be kind of frank about building a proper business if your ambition is clear, because then people will follow you. Your mission is clear.
Yeah.
Once it's not fun anymore, it's not worth doing. So you have to keep
Mm.
that. You still have to love this job. You still have to be at the actual events. You still have to
Mm.
know the divers. The divers has to know you. You have to love the fans. Kind of, and that's the kind of, I think that's the whole relationship with fandom today. Is that today some of these athletes, they have like 2 million followers on YouTube. Ryan Bean, he has like 5 million followers or something. So they're becoming superstars, but also kind of transitioning over to kind of the Hollywood scene where they kind of are becoming proper celebrities. So I think
Yeah.
that ecosystem, keeping that vibe, but do it in a smart way and be totally frank about what your mission is.
Yeah. No, I love that. And it's where it's all going too, right? Like there's a lot of innovation happening on the technological side, but sports and the community and the passion and the culture, like stuff's never going away. So yeah,
And
what
to your point also, I think one of the DNAs in sports today that I've just learned is the last 2 years. It's celebrities get involved not only as ambassadors today, but it is part of the recipe. So it's
yeah.
not only that they are ambassador, they're actually cross-pollinating from where they come from into your
Hmm.
space. But that doesn't work unless they want to be a part of the party. If you know what I mean? It has to
Hmm.
be true. It has to be real. They need to be actual fans of the athletes. They need to love the events. They need to love the actual show. So one of the things we're addressing now in this fundraising that we're organizing now, that's including athletes that are fans as investors. And I think that's one of the most interesting thing happening in sports right now, with X Games transitioning to teams, and then you have Serena Williams investing in emerging sports. You have Tom Brady owning a boat with Nadal in E1 racing. You have like Ryan Reynolds, he's owning a football club. Snoop Dogg is jumping in and buying
Mhm.
his own club. So this is the new recipe. And I think as long as the entertainment is good and it's true to the community, then I think you have the X factor.
Yeah. Yeah, what as we round this out, anything else we haven't touched on that you think's important?
Yes, I think one of the things that we're at least focusing on is also kind of making it easy for people to get recruited into these sports. Even you mentioned Red Bull earlier. We're actually sponsored by Monster Energy, so they're our
Nice.
world tour sponsor. So we're actually talking about doing a collegial tour next year,
Nice.
tapping up into that college scene. It's such a great fit, the whole energy, the vibe, the
Yeah, it
right
is.
between the schools and everything. So our goal is to kind of build this as a billion dollar company in the next 5 to 10 years, and then have a blast while doing it.
Yeah, I mean the college, you'll that'll be fun. That'll be a lot of fun. And I'm sure you could create a ton of interesting content around that as well. Like bring in some interesting folks that I don't know if you followed like Barstool or some of
Yeah.
these other groups that there's been some freelance ones that go around like college tours. It's like sort of similar that you can build, but around a event and festival, and obviously the diving, which is you try to keep at the center as much as possible.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe this one day will become an Olympic sport, like Snoop Dogg said
Yeah,
once. I think we have a very good trajectory, and the US is definitely our focus market. It's very well received over there, so we're all about making this a proper American playbook, and then deploy that to new markets in the future. So, but I do think that the strength in our case is that we own the whole IP. So we're the federation, we're the World Cup, we're the World
yeah,
Championship, we have the world ranking, we have the athletes, we have the teams. So it's much more similar to UFC what we're building than actually a traditional
yeah,
diving. It's much
yeah.
more the property.
Where can people learn more? What's website, socials? Obviously, we put the YouTube on there. We'll include these links, but just for people listening, if they want to go check it out, where's a good place?
Yeah, so I would definitely go to our Instagram. So that's Døds Diving League on Instagram. That's where we post most of our content. And if you're interested in kind of getting to know some more about the round we're doing right now, just ship me a mail. Paul, Paul at dotsdivingleague.com.
Awesome. Well, Paul, appreciate you coming on, and look forward as you come into the U.S. to getting out, and especially if you do one in Florida again. That'd be super easy for me.
Yeah, no, most definitely. And if you have the chance, please come to Tobago. We'll have the door open.
Love it.